Hey, what's up, everyone? It's your boy Dark Polago, and thanks for joining me on this weekend watch list recap. How did our top four stocks do this week? We're going to get into that, and we're going to go over a couple little things real quick. In a market last week that rallied up and got rejected, ended up closing the end of the week lower than we started. What does that mean for the overall market? Are we in a downtrend? Are we in a downturn? So those are going to be a lot of things we need to keep an eye on this week coming up. There's also tensions in Ukraine and Russia. We got to pay attention to that. That absolutely is affecting the market. So be careful when you're out there. Also, if you're new to the channel, this is your first time joining, thanks for showing up. Truly, truly appreciate it. Sorry, my voice is a little low today. Had a soccer game last night. Kind of lost my voice a little bit teaching those kids how to go after the ball. So I do appreciate you being here. If you just take a second, go ahead and click that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. That way you get notified anytime we put out a new video, and it does help us out. Small content creators need a little help from the YouTube algorithm anytime we can, and we will jump right into our top four stocks, which we pick every week. When we get those sent out in our newsletter, you can sign up for our newsletter at darkpoolcharts.com. It's a free newsletter. We send it out every week. That way you can kind of trade some of the same stuff that we do every week. So far this year, we've been nailing it. I think we're at 80% win rate, which is pretty decent. I think that's really, really decent, actually. So we're going to jump into it in a few seconds right after this quick intro, and we'll see you in a minute. All right, welcome back. Welcome. So, very exciting week last week. We had quite a few ups and downs and ins and outs. Very, very choppy market. I don't anticipate there being a trend that we can follow for some time, especially leading into this next monthly cycle going into FOMC on March 16th. So, our top four stocks for the week were, ready? FCX, which is Freeport-McMoRan, CLX, which is Clorox, VLO, which is Valero, and COF, which is not coffee. It's what is this? Can't remember what COF. I think it's Citibank, Capital One. I know it was one of those financial institutions. Capital One. So how did we do? Let's find out, shall we? We're going to go ahead and get started with Freeport-McMoRan, which is FCX. Going into this week, right, beginning this week, we had uptrending flow index, which means that it was moving in, making higher highs and higher lows. Price action decided it wanted to start following the flow index. If you're not familiar with what this is FlowTrade. They've created their own algorithm. They call it the flow index. It tracks large institutions, hedge funds, smart money, dark pools, block trades, and creates a predictive leading indicator. So we look for areas of divergence where the flow index is heading in one direction and price action is heading in another. For example, if we had taken Freeport-McMoRan the previous week, we would have noticed that the flow index was selling off while price action was rising. At this point here where the reversal occurred, we knew that divergence would have played out to this point. Why do I say this point? Because if I were to draw a line straight across and note that divergence had occurred at this point where price action started heading in one direction, as you can see here, price action is heading up. The flow index is selling off. As you can see, divergence really occurred way back here, but at this point, right, if I draw a straight line across right there, and just all things being equal, we had divergence occur here where flow index was selling off, price action was rising. When the reversal came, we knew that we could have played the downside back down to this point of divergence, which would have been here. So going into February 14th, right, this divergence had played out. The flow index was starting to make higher highs and higher lows, meaning that they were buying into this position. We could have easily gotten in Monday off of the pullback, right, or even Tuesday and caught this move up. What does that look like on a chart? Let's show you what that looks like. So this is a Monday open, rallied up, pulled back, right? Going into Friday, or going into Tuesday, opened up on the lows. We could have caught it off of the bounce, right? we would have been able to take this ride from the low to the high, right? Couple points, right? There we go. $2.59 or 6.62%. Pretty decent move. I definitely caught some of this move here. This was a fun one, right? Up into there. I would have held a little through a little heat. Mainly look at this 50, 200 or stack positive, uptrending stock. We knew we had the flow index buying into this position as well, bringing it down to the 15-minute chart. If we would make this the 30, just so we can see, right? Stack positive moving averages, 821.34. The 50's on top of the 200. Uptrending stock. Definitely caught a piece of that play. All right. Next up on our list is Clorox. Everybody knows what Clorox is. The reason we chose this one is because going into this week, we had the flow index making higher highs and higher lows. We got a little bit of a play going into Monday. Could have played the downturn. With most of these plays, we can play the upside and the downside. Going into Thursday and Friday, we had that crossover, looking for the bullish or bearish divergence. It didn't play out. The flow index bounced and price action started to run away from it. So this was a big old rally. Remember I said if we can break above, was it 146? Above 146, we hit 150. Definitely a great move on Clorox. We'll get those loaded up here. All right, Clorox into the week. Very, very choppy towards the end of the week. As soon as we get this breakover, right? Friday was the play, right? When we got the 50 to cross over the 200 and we had stack positive moving averages, right? If you notice, the squeeze released right at this point here, which popped us up and over. So we knew that we would be able to get into a pretty decent play. Caught the tail end of this play on Friday. So we would have caught it for this whole, get up here. Lock there we go on the crossover. A little $5 move, right? Some people would have gotten in a little bit early right off a point of control. And this was just massive consolidation, right? As soon as we got MACD crossover ready and fired off, squeeze released, right? We could have caught this play. Actually, I think some of our members actually caught this play. They front ran it a little bit knowing that this was coming down. They caught the play for $8.57, right? Big old move here, right? Gap up on Thursday, rally on Thursday, right? To gap up to Friday, big move there. Even if you caught the tail end of the move on the crossover, which we try to let everybody know, we go bullish if we're above the 200, right? We try to stay out of things or look at downside potential below the 200. Even if we caught just the initial pop off of this, right? On the break of, was it 140, previous high? Right there. Even if we'd caught it at this move here, $5.76 or 4% so far. 2 for 2. Okay. Next one up was VLO. This was a little bit trickier of a play. We got into this mainly because it's a crude sympathy play. VLO is obviously an oil and gas company. Part of the reason we looked into this, we were looking at this bullish divergence to play out. So going into the week, we noticed that price action was up and the flow index was starting to pull back, right? So we knew that we'd have a downside play and potentially an upside. This was a very kind of heavy market this week. It broke through a couple of regular block trades, a dark pool level, and another regular block trade throughout the week. Big move from 93 back down to about 88. All right, so looking at VLO, right, on our charts, right? We did have stack positive moving averages. We thought maybe we get a little bit higher, but it was kind of pushing it, right? New high, looking for the pullback. We did get a pretty decent pullback here, right? So we would have got in. This was still bullish up into this point right here where we broke below the 50. So looking on the downside, knowing that below the 50, we could have played the downside move to here, $3.85 or 4.425%. Maybe caught the move back up, waiting for this crossover, right? We were seeing the 50 was coming down to the 200. This is basically a death cross, right? When the 50 crosses below the 200, you know that the trend has changed. So we've got a lot of overhead pressure getting in on Thursday, played the downside move, rejected the 50, wasn't able to clear it again. Another downside move for $2.55 or 2.82%. How does this look on a different chart, right? Coming in, we have moving average cross down, right, below the 50. We weren't able to get it, rejected point of control, right? There's the initial move down here, rally back up, popped up above it, thinking we might have gotten a little bit of bullish, but this wick would have stopped us out. Rejected point of control, so we're chop, 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 chop. We're waiting. We eventually see that cross down. The 50 crossing down. We've got negatively stacked moving averages, right? So we're officially, we're downtrending now, right? So that moves here, right? 288, 3.45% off of knowing the flow index is selling out, right? It's breaking through these resistance and support levels, right? The flow index is still dragging price action down with it, okay? 3 for 3. We're going to win a chicken dinner. All right, finally, Capital One. XLF did pretty decent this week. However, we noticed that we had strong net selling with the flow index. Smart money was selling out of these financial positions and dragging price down with it. On every little pop up, we had bearish divergence. So every pop up, we were getting in, selling the top, right? Selling any rallies up for a longer move to the downside. Going into this, we knew that we had bearish divergence and it was pulling price down with us. So we would wait for any rally, right? Catch the top of the rally, bring it back down. This is what this looks like on a chart. All right, coming into the week, right? We were still under the 50, so very bearish there, super choppy, no clear direction. Rallied up, holding point of control. Some members caught this pop up because of, if you see the move over here, right? Some members caught this pop up when the moving averages crossed above it. So some of our group got this move here. Oh, let me just grab it. Some of the group grabbed this move here. They kind of front ran it a little bit, knowing that it didn't break into a new all-time high, right? Right? We were like, hey, it's not have enough strength and momentum. There's no squeezes releasing to help us break into a new high. So we were waiting patiently. Coming to Thursday, our moving averages crossed down. We got below the 50. Whenever we're below the 50, we're kind of bearish. And remember, the flow index the whole time was selling out. So we're kind of any pops, we're fighting smart money selling out of these positions. They're selling these tops because, right, they know that it's getting very weak. Okay. So grabbing the move on the cross down of the moving averages all the way down to the lows, right? Even if you held into some heat, right, retesting the 50, we still got out at a low negative. We made $4.50 on the downside, $4 on the upside. We played the ups and the downs. Now going into next week, negatively stacked moving averages. If the 50 crosses down below the 200, I think that we can come back down and test this big volume candle down here at 152, right? 152. Then there's definitely a trading zone from 152 down to about 149, 150. Below that, there's another zone down to about 148. So I think we get an extended downside move on Capital One, right? XLF, we want to see what they're doing. Just real quick with the flow index XLF, smart money's getting out of these financial positions. Okay, that's it. Real quick look at, I know this chart is kind of hard to read. I do apologize, but if you join us every morning on our stream, we stream every morning, Monday through Friday, 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. We get into some very specific details on the ES and the overall futures market. We kind of predicted this downtrending move here, right? This is a 1, 2, 3, possibly corrective pattern. If that happens and we start taking out some lows, we've got some downside targets over here. That's the ES. Checking out the NQ real quick, just so that I can kind of show you what we're looking at. All right, NQ, same deal. It's not able to break over its moving averages. If we start trading down to this zone here, this is a big zone down. This white line is going to be a magnet, right? 13,400 possibly next week. Sketchy. We did catch some gold plays. Let's see the 14th. Get back, yeah, right in here, right? So we'd crossed above this zero line, which is our mean, right? It's a regression zero line. Basically, stocks will trade within 1 to 2 standard deviations of this white line, okay? Or options, futures will trade within 1 to 2 standard deviations. We had this 2150 200 crossover, right? We got a big pop off of that, right? Big old pop off of that. So this is Valentine's Day. We gapped up, we pulled back, we knew we were coming back for some support, right? We found some support on the 15th and we just rode this up. Gold is coming up to test, like it's trading in this upper zone. So watch for possibly 1918 and then maybe a little pullback to support on gold. Okay, that's it for me. Thanks once again for joining me. Dark Pool Algo. I am here for you every morning, Monday through Friday, 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. Join us for the live stream. I take answers. I take questions. We go over any sort of news, earnings releases. We go over the global and not financial and the futures market, so we can see the direction that we're most likely going to follow. And then I do take questions for the flow index. If you have any charts you want me to look at and analyze, we have a pretty good chat group that goes on. We get through a lot of tickers. So join us. We will see you there on Monday. Have a great weekend. Stay safe, stay green, and make sure you hit the like button, subscribe on the way out the door. Have a great one.